Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Jada Lowe, and thank you for coming to my channel. Thank you for clicking this video. Thank you for showing even an eensy-beensy interest in watching. And for those of you returning, I'm glad to have you back. And let's talk therapy. So how do y'all feel about therapy, huh? I've been in therapy. I think September will be a year, or October will be a year. Either way, almost a year. But I wanted to kind of talk about like some of the reasons why I believe therapy is important and helpful, why I go, how you can have God and therapy, and just to wrap up Mental Health Awareness Month and to bring some awareness to mental health as a whole and how I take care of my mental health. So a few reasons why I love therapy, why I like going, but always why I've been an advocate for therapy. And one reason is because you get an unbiased approach to your life. You get unbiased professional help. Operative words, unbiased and professional. I'm pretty much a private person, but like the things that I do tell like trusted family and friends, while I do appreciate them and while I do value their opinion, there came a point in my life where I knew that the things that I was going through, I wanted to have just like an outside person looking in, and from a professional standpoint too, but also from an unbiased standpoint. Like when you're telling your friends and your family things, they have your best interest at heart, but they also have, in a sense, like a little bit of a bias to you, and they may base their approach, whether they intend to or not, just based off of what they may think is best for you, or just knowing how you operate, how you should handle it, instead of from I don't want to say detached, but just from an outside viewpoint, an outside professional viewpoint. And so going to therapy has really helped me, because it's like you get to, for me, I feel like I have a safe place where I can just, baby, breathe. Like, like just where I can breathe. And yes, I have an unbiased professional helping me, but I also am blessed to have a therapist who I believe wants what's best for me too. And so like we both have that commonality, and she can see and I can tell, and we can meet on like how I operate, like how I think, what's good, what needs work, all that good stuff. But overall, you get an unbiased point. You get an unbiased point of view, and a non-biased point of view, essentially too. And another reason why I like therapy is because I've never been the type to hold it in, but I've held it in because I just didn't have the resource of therapy at that point in my life. Even though I did, like I said, I told friends and family and all that good stuff, I always wanted to go to therapy. I just never really knew how to go about getting therapy. Even like entering this is another topic, but entering adulthood, a lot of things are incorporated. So it's like when you go to therapy, like, when do you pay for it? How do you pay for it? What do you pay for it with? What does insurance do? Yada, 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 yada. It's like, it's so many questions. So that was kind of intimidating to me. So like the how was what held me back from going, and that caused me to suppress like a lot of the stuff that I was going through, not because I wanted to necessarily suppress it, but wanting to go to therapy, but not seeing the process of how to do it. And another good point, not really seeing it from the people around me. Like to my knowledge, I'm one of the only people like around me, with the exception of a couple of people that I know who actually go to therapy. So I really didn't have a reference of honestly what it looks like to go to therapy, to reach out and to get help. And I think that's that's something that a lot of people within the Black community experience. And not that we're necessarily, for some, I believe there's a stigma around mental health and therapy. But on the other side of the coin, too, I believe for those who may want to, we just may not, they may just not, they probably just don't know, how to go about doing it because they don't have a reference. And that's not just for therapy in the Black community, but just in general, having a reference of what it looks like and a guide to the process of how to take care of your mental health and just therapy and just in general, was what I found kind of hindered me from being able to express myself healthily, even though I wanted to. What hindered me was not having a reference. And I knew that I wanted to go to therapy because, yes, for myself, but I knew it was something that I always wanted to be open about with other people, just in case somebody else needed help or just in case somebody else had questions and wanted to go to therapy themselves, and just wanted to get help for them or somebody they know. I knew that, not just as it relates to my future and for my future family and my future children and my future community, of being a vessel to helping them to do that themselves, but the people that are in my life now and the people that I will encounter now, helping them, because I just personally feel like I didn't necessarily have that reference, but the people that were that reference for when, because they were open about it, is what helped me. And so I always say that I wanted to be that for somebody else. And I found just with therapy, like when you realize that you don't have to hold it all in and that they're there to listen. And for me, I can ramble. She can talk. I'll talk for a good amount of time, and just knowing that's welcomed. Not just as it relates to like how you feel or what you're struggling with, but just to talk. Like to know that there's a space to do that is one of the reasons why I enjoy therapy. I'm a conversation person, and to know that I have a place where I can decompress and be safe and also like work to be better and also listen to somebody who is a professional is one of the biggest reasons why I advocate for therapy, because you get to get stuff off your chest, man. You get to get it off your chest. And another thing I want to say too is don't believe the notion that you can't have, that it has to be God or therapy. I firmly believe, like, just like God blesses me with my gift to speak to y'all of creativity, all of that good stuff, helping people, God gives everybody a gift, and therapists are no exception. God has given them a gift to be able to serve the people that they serve, to be able to serve their clientele, to be able to reach out and help them. And so I believe God and therapy works in tandem, simply based off of the fact that if you believe, if you're a Christian and you believe in God, that just like God equips people to do every other profession, therapy is no exception. You can have God and therapy. There are things within our control that we're meant to steward over, and there are things out of our control that God handles. As it relates to for me personally, my mental health, I know that one thing that I have control over is the resources that I can use. And I'm blessed to be in a time where we have a lot more resources than we had, than maybe my parents and grandparents had back then, but I know that it's within the realms of my control to be able to see, like, what help can I get, what can I do to find different ways to afford to get therapy and things of that nature. And just being a good steward over my mind isn't just being emotionally aware and talking good to yourself and saying affirmations, but it's also getting help, seeking help, and sitting down with someone and just having somebody other than you see you. And so you can have God and therapy. God equips therapists just like he equips people in every other profession. And so some tips when looking for a therapist that I would give, my number one tip would be to use discernment. I've heard to use discernment and go with your gut. I've heard like some people say like they've had to like try out different therapists. Personally for me, I was blessed to hit a home run the first time around. So yeah, you use discernment. Get a feel for like the type of conversation that you would like to have. Not saying to go into therapy with like the preconceived notion of how it should be, but you know what makes you feel comfortable when talking to somebody. And as you have like sessions and stuff, you will begin to see what makes you feel comfortable. And if you feel uncomfortable or just don't feel like a sense of safety, maybe try someone different. And I would say know your preferences too and what it is that you want. For me personally, I personally knew that I wanted a female, Black, Christian therapist. And that's what I looked for. That's what I asked other people who I knew went to therapy about. If you're a guy and you want to go to therapy, and if you want a Black male professional, or if you just want a male therapist in general, you know what to look for. If you don't have a preference as it relates to gender or race or religion, that is your preference too. So just knowing what you want is a part of the process, and just the vetting process of going to therapy. There's nothing wrong with having that preference, but also be open minded. If you want a male therapist, but you end up going to a female therapist, and you realize that you're comfortable and safe there, try that out for a period of time. You never know who God will use to speak into your life and help you maneuver through life. And know that the biggest takeaway for therapy, and the biggest takeaway for Mental Health Awareness Month in general, know that going to therapy, know that if you have or struggle with a mental health illness, that doesn't make you weak. Going to therapy doesn't make you weak. Struggling in your mind doesn't make you weak. If anything, going to therapy makes you stronger. It's a very courageous move. Don't let anyone sway you into thinking, "Oh, you go to therapy? What you doing that for?" We never went to therapy, and look how we doing. My point exactly. Going to therapy does not make you weak. We've lifted a good bit of the stigma, especially in the Black community, but we've lifted a good chunk of the stigma around therapy and taking care of your mental health, just because mental health has become not a trend, but it's been something that's been brought to the forefront, and it's caused people to be more cognizant of how they're taking care of their minds. But we still have a ways to go. We still have other stigmas to break within the mental health realm. And I just wanted to replant that going to therapy does not make you weak. Going to therapy doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. And if something is wrong with you, that is okay. If you have something that you're struggling with, that is okay. You're going to get help. And that is, like I said, a courageous thing to do. But also know no matter what side of the coin you're on, if you're struggling with something in your mind, right, and you go to therapy, that is a courageous move. If you're not really struggling with anything, but you just find that you need a healthy outlet of expression, that's what therapy is for too. We've placed the stigma that going to therapy is kind of associated with everything being bad in your life. That's not necessarily always the case. Therapy is for both sides of the coin of life, for the good and the bad. It's to help you maneuver through both. And so just know that either way, it is okay. The things that you struggle with and struggled with, and the areas that you want to grow in, all those things are encompassed in going to therapy and the process of it. You deserve to have a safe space where you can express yourself. You deserve to have a safe space where you can talk about what's going on in your head. That's my biggest thing. The biggest word for me is safety, and just knowing that whether I go once a month, twice a month, or if I go every week, that I have a safe space to go to express myself, where like I can, if I see something that's like a red flag in my head about me, I will literally write it down and wait until I get into therapy to just kind of see like what's going on. And for me, the biggest thing that I love about therapy too is that I always thought that therapy was like you sit and you say something and then you go and you just let your therapist talk. For me and my therapist in particular, there are times where she'll ask me questions. Asking me questions, it helps me get to the bottom of stuff. She'll just sit and listen. And other times where she will talk and tell me about myself, whether I want to hear it or not. But all of those incorporated together make it such a safe space for me, and something that I'm really grateful for, and something that I hope you guys get to experience too, whether you're in therapy or whether you're looking to get into therapy. And so I found that the more that I talk about things, sometimes I'll end up answering my question, or I'll end up seeing something that I didn't see. And that's all because I'm talking about it in the safe space that's therapy. And so those are just some of the things that I was aware of, some of the reasons why I advocate for therapy and why I love therapy and why I'm blessed to have an amazing therapist at that. And therapy is a blessing, yes, but it's also a way that I consider for me, and it allows me to be a good steward over my mind by using the resources that I have. But also it motivates me because I want to be able to help other people who may not know, just like I didn't know, to be able to reach out and get that help that they need to, whether it's all good, whether it's all bad, whether it's half good, half bad, whether it's a dash of good and a puddle of bad, or whether it's a sprinkle of bad and a puddle of good. I mean, I recommend therapy because life will happen. When it's good and when it's bad, it's nice to have somebody to talk that through with, and to get a different perspective on you and to get help with what you go through. And so that is why, just some reasons why I think therapy is important, and just some tips when seeking a therapist. And so I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope that you just find ways to take care of your mind, and be open to therapy, and don't let anyone force you to go. You will know when you're ready to go. But when you are ready to take that step, there are plenty of resources out there, a lot of online resources, a lot of online therapy, and also in-person therapists too. And so whatever the case may be for you, I hope that you find you a therapist that is safe, and that helps you to grow. And so happy Mental Health Awareness Month. I pray that no matter what you're going through, that you keep pushing through and ultimately just take it one day at a time. And I'll see you guys in the next video.